for bearing with that somewhat self-indulgent intro. I have actually already looked at my Medium income for the month of June, and I was so impressed with myself that I decided to put on sunglasses and act like a fool. So I never look at my money throughout the month because it's something about assigning a value, like a money value, to my writing. Like, it means that if I don't make a lot of money, it makes me feel like my writing was bad. So I try not to look at my income or my stats really throughout the month, and I like to be surprised. So for reference, May, I earned like $3,300, and but I had 2 viral stories in that time period, so I that was expected. This month, I earned a lot also, which was not expected, and a huge surprise and relief that my writing is good enough to earn money. And I had the chance to share the moment of discovering with a bunch of my patrons. So a couple of them were able to join me. Thank you if you're watching this again. It was so fun to have you and to have you experience that with me live. After I revealed my monthly income, I went back and I answered a bunch of questions about what my top earning stories were, why stories that had done really well, stories that hadn't done well, which ones surprised me. I was very interested to find out that my top 5 earning stories in June weren't actually published in June, so that was pretty cool. Without further ado, here is my big reveal, my moment of truth. Enjoy. Moment of truth. I always avoid looking at it because if I look at it, it's updated every day. But if I look at it too often, I just get really stressed out. Okay. All right. So let's look at. Oh my gosh. Okay. That I actually was not expecting to earn that much. What? So last month was like my biggest month ever, and that was because I had 1 viral article. I guess both of them did quite well, but the views of this one trailed off massively, so I really was not expecting to earn $2,500.
Sweet.
Yeah. Okay, so now this is something people always talk about, like, are the Medium-based articles, are they the money earners? And I found for the most part, no. So I'm actually surprised that this one's earning so much because it didn't even get curated, I don't think. Oh, but it did get a ton of views. Well, just goes to show you can still get views without getting curated sometimes. Oh, that's so fun. Phew, what a relief. I mean, I'm not like, I wasn't worried about it, but it's still pretty cool. $2,500. Gosh. All right, dreams really do come true, people. You can write about anything you want, including being an insecure girlfriend, and make nearly $1,000 off it. So that's in your future if you want it. Oh, how did you guys feel about your earnings? I don't know. Did anybody else have a look?
Maybe.
I haven't looked.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say maybe you could talk more about the one article that looked like it got the most amount of money. I only briefly saw it, but like, is that a new article or yeah, what?
Yeah. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So this one, I feel a little embarrassed to admit this. I wrote this out of pettiness and spite. I saw on Medium that this one person had written an article that was like a listicle, and it was on the popular list on Medium. And I genuinely thought to myself, if that person can do it, then so can I. And I wrote a listicle for the first time in ages. Yeah, so I wrote it, a month and a half ago. We can look at the individual stats for this one. Nope. View stats. And so this is really what made me realize that. So here I got 44,000 views in a single day, which by the way has never happened to me before, and that earned $400. So trying to do some rapid mental math there, that's like $100 per 10K views roughly. But then like in this one I got 400 views, so like less than 1%, is that right? And I still earned like a ton of money, like $68 from not that many views. So if we break this down even more, so this was the month I wrote it, got over 100,000 views and earned however much. Why doesn't it tell me? Oh yeah, so it earned just $1,500 that month. And then in June, despite getting far fewer views, like almost an order of magnitude fewer, earned still over 1,000, which was really surprising to me. And then I don't know what happened here with this dip. I never know what the Medium algorithm is going to do to me. And this one actually inspired the success of my second most popular story in the past couple of months. Let's see here. The Insecure Girlfriends one. When I saw that the first listicle that I'd written had done so surprisingly well, I was like, well, what else can I write about? And this one didn't do quite as well, but still a lot of money for a story where I bear my deepest insecurities as a girlfriend. But yeah, both of these. So this one I published in PS I Love You, which meant that it had a really high chance of getting curated and had a really good inbuilt audience. And the other one I wrote was in Mind Cafe. Yeah, the 6 Habits of Deeply Miserable People was in Mind Cafe. Although I've had other stuff in Mind Cafe before, and sometimes it only gets like 200 views. So it really is, I guess, a combination of curation, publication, and then it gets seen by the right people who click on it and view it, and that tells Medium's algorithm, whoa, this story, people really like it, and so on and so forth. But let's see what else. What didn't earn me money? Okay, so this one's a funny one because I wrote this, I want to say like a year ago. Yeah, over a year ago. And it still earned me $6 last month. That's pretty fun. My pets are, I say Instagram famous. They have like 16,000 followers. I'll actually be able to show you. Hang on. I don't know if you can see my boy there who's fit into a box that is way too small for him. He inspires me every day. And then, yeah, these are all oh no, we're back into July. Sorry, I'm still just kind of reeling from my $2,500 month. How many stories did I write last month? Normally I've got a really nifty, no, not this one. Is it this one? Oh yeah, so last month I wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories and earned $2,500. Never thought the day would come. To be fair, I've been writing on Medium for I guess 2 years, coming up on 2 years now. So it's all paying dividends from all the stories I wrote months and months ago that all of them still give me $5 a month or so. But yeah, I guess don't know what the moral of the story is here. It takes time to pay off. Any other questions?
Do you have any that if you go through, you're surprised by either they didn't make a lot or they you thought they were going to make a lot or you're surprised that they made a lot besides the 6 just in the middle? Because I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, let's have a look and see what's going. Oh, not there. Hang on. Here we go. Yeah, honestly, one of my biggest pet peeves, I used to export out all my stats on Medium and try to do some fairly advanced analysis on what stories earn me the most money, but then ultimately I realized that was sucking the joy out of writing, so I stopped. So this was one I had higher hopes for, this ethical online bookshop. So it did fairly well. $43 is not a huge amount for the stories that I hope will do well. The reason I thought it was going to do well was because normally when you drop big names like Amazon or Facebook or big brand names, especially in better marketing, they tend to get more, just because people have that brand name recognition. People think they know, or they're like, oh, that's so interesting. And at the time, Amazon was going through a bit of a bad press spat, which they periodically go through, so I was hoping I could tap into that. And because it was retweeted by the account I wrote this about. So bookshop.org, actually, they have a fairly active Twitter account, and they retweeted it a ton of times. And I got tons of exposure on Twitter, but then that did not turn into dollars, unfortunately for me. So normally with 2,500 views, I can count on getting upwards of $100 when it gets up to there, but not with this particular one, which was a bit of a shame. But yeah, I can see it's starting to get some external traction now these past couple of days. But what else? What other stories shocked me? Whoops, that's not where I want to go. I automatically go to the stats one instead of the payment one. So here's one that just kept on giving. I wrote this again like a year ago, and it's like, I did not expect to get $30 from this month. Oh yeah, totally unexpected spike. So it got, I wrote it like, yeah, a year ago and nothing for like a year. And all of a sudden it's been, for some reason, taking off again. It doesn't look like it was shared externally a huge amount. So it's just Medium's algorithm picked it up. This is why I like people who start writing on Medium, if they don't see success immediately, they give up so quickly. And this is what I want to show those people, that you can write something, and even if it only gets 20 views, you publish it, you leave it up, and you come back in a year, and you might have doubled your money. You just never know. What else got me? This was one I actually wrote immediately after my 6 Habits of Miserable People, that I was really hoping would do as well and get hundreds of thousands of views, but it did not work. So that was a bit of a failed attempt, but can't help it. You got to try different things and see what works. This was one I actually wrote for Forge that I was really hoping, like Forge, the big publication on Medium, and I was really thinking that this one would, I guess, like blow up, to use a lack of a better term. And it's done fairly well, but 200 of this was just the upfront fee. So media, like from views on Medium, it's only earned $70. The first 200 was the flat fee that paid me when I wrote it. And it was featured too. I made it onto the homepage. Nobody was interested in knowing what the best sound was to use for their morning alarm. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a mix. It's weird because I don't think any of these stories were ones I wrote this month. I think all of these were ones I wrote. Maybe this one, these top 5 I wrote last month or the month before. Yeah. It's just, you never know when something's going to have a bit of a spike randomly, or someone's going to share it and get tons of views that way. Sorry, that was a very long and rambling answer to your question, Vera. But hopefully that helped give you a better idea of the stories I kind of think will take off and don't, or the ones that I think I just write for fun and then they do really well. Cool. Anybody have any other questions?
I can see, like, going through this that you have some stories that you've deleted, but seeing like your stats now, you've had stories that even like from a year ago are still making money. So how do you know, like for yourself personally, when you want to like get rid of a story, you're like, I no longer want this to be on Medium?
So, okay, full disclosure, when I started writing on Medium, I was a very bad writer and I had no idea how to write for Medium. So a lot of my early stuff that I feel like if someone were to, I don't know, take the time and go through my whole portfolio, my early writing, I just felt wasn't representative of what I can do today. So I took that off. But the bulk of the stories, like I'm talking about the ones I wrote in the first month, but the bulk of the stories that I deleted, sorry, I don't know how far down I have to go all the way. So you can see how many stories I put out there, and they're still earning pennies. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, here we go. So most of these that I deleted, I actually wrote back before Medium banned republishing. So what I would do is a story that didn't do particularly well, I would delete it or unlist it and then just republish it exactly the same, copy pasting. Sometimes I would change the title around, sometimes I'd change the image. And this was kind of what made me realize that curation and success is all a bit of a crapshoot. So for example, I wrote one story called "This is Why I'm Sick of People Selling Success" or something like that. And it did okay, it earned me $10, but I unlisted it and republished it. And I don't even think I changed anything, but I published it and it got curated in Self and maybe like Leadership or something like that. And it went on to earn me over $100, the exact same story. So when that started happening, I started doing that more and more. I just like republishing old stuff because I felt like I was giving them a second chance to be successful on Medium. But then I think six or 7 months ago, Medium was like, yeah, you got to stop doing that. So sadly I did.
I'm curious if there's any like correlation between like your longer and shorter articles that versus like the success, like Like, are your longer ones more successful or your shorter ones? Anything there?
That's a great question. And I actually looked into that back when I was doing some very deep dives on my statistics on stories. And I found that my highest earning stories were all in the 5 to 8 minute bracket. There were a few outliers, but for the most part, that was what worked for me. But then I'm part of this like writers Slack group with other Medium writers, and I posted there asking like, so is this the case for you all as well, or do you have any exceptions? And there was one person who said that their 3 minute ones were the ones that, without fail, were the ones that were earning them the big bucks. Like anytime they tried to get longer or more story focused, it would fall flat. And then on the total opposite end of the spectrum, I can actually show you. His name's John Gorman. He writes the most beautiful prose, in my opinion. And his stories are long. Like, okay, that's a bad example. That's 3 minutes. But like, they're all okay, this is not great. Anyway, they're longer than the ones I tend to write, which are between like the, 4 to 6 minute range. Yeah, so I guess this is a better example of the kind of stories that he does, like very, very long stories. And that's what worked for him. I mean, look how many claps this guy has. So many. And that's what works for him. So to answer your question, again, in a very long-winded way, I would say that it's more important to figure out at what point you're shortening artificially or like lengthening artificially the story that you have to say. Because once you figure out what length works for you, what length is going to be, I guess, the length that lets you tell a story that's going to be best received by your audiences, it's more important to figure that out than understanding which length of stories does particularly best on Medium. That's been my experience. I will caveat that I rarely see very, very long or very, very short stories do well here. Like stuff that's over 10 minutes or stuff that's under 3 minutes. Yeah, I think, actually I can show y'all just organizing by views. I think it's trying really hard. Okay, so this is so far the standout exception in terms of length. Most of these are, yeah, 4 to 6, I would say. Yeah, here's a good example of when views don't earn you any money. So this, I think, for some, I don't know much about SEO, but this one managed to end up fairly prominent on Google. So it has a ton of external views, but has earned me relatively much less money than some of my other stories that I've got over 10,000 views. Hopefully it just means my name's getting out there and people are associating me with cute cats. That would be nice. Awesome. Well, I am coming up to the time that I've got to go help my parents cook dinner. So I will ask one last time if there's any questions anybody has, any lingering wonder things that you want to ask while you've got me here and my stats page is open. I've read that when you have a Zoom meeting of more than one person, what you should do when you ask a question is count the number of seconds per participant, even though it's awkward, and that gives you the amount of time to know if it's safe to say goodbye. So I counted to 5, and I will assume that means everyone's good. I will let you all go. Have a great 4th of July weekend if you're American, and have a great normal weekend if you're not.
Thank you.
Yeah, talk to you all soon. Let me figure out how to close.
Thanks a lot.
Zoom down.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. It never gets less amazing to me that I earn any money for writing about what I love. And I want to take this time to point out that you can do it too. The Medium is a perfect place for you to spread your writing wings and get experimental, get interesting, try different things, see what works, see what doesn't, but most of all, enjoy yourself writing. It's an amazing platform. This is an amazing opportunity, and if you have any suggestions for how I should spend my $2,500, please post them below in the comments. All right, likewise, everyone have a wonderful, wonderful 4th of July weekend. If you want to be included in this kind of stuff up front, definitely feel free to sign up to my Patreon. And if you have any questions, as always, post them in the comments, and I get to them when I can.